So elected officials in New York City, they've got themselves into a little bit of a bind as migrants protest for more, just even more free government benefits in New York City. Let's check out this video.
Today, hundreds of black migrants, many from African countries, showed up at City Hall demanding better treatment. They say they just want a job and basic shelter.
And Chopper 2 was overhead this afternoon, showing the large group outside City Hall just how many people this issue is impacting. The steps of City Hall also packed. CBS 2's John Diaz reports now on the changes that they're calling for.
Every migrant we spoke with has something in common. They want to work. Right now, they're trying to cut through all the red tape that's stopping them, asking local leaders to put pressure on Washington, D.C. to make a change. As dozens rallied on the steps outside City Hall and hundreds showed up in support nearby inside the council chambers, tears were shed for all black migrants impacted by what advocates are calling unfair treatment.
They are here to show you that they belong and that they are here and that they should not be erased. Please listen to them.
Tuesday, City Council members held its first hearing to learn more about the experiences black migrants have been going through in New York.
Black migrants have reported verbal and physical abuse due to the color of their skin.
Federal immigration laws are either slowing down the process for these migrants to get working permits, or depending on what country they come from, it makes them ineligible.
But when they give our work permits, we can work and take care of ourselves.
Governor Kathy Hochul has tried to speed along the process. These migrants are also up in arms over language access barriers and temporary shelters, saying 30 days isn't long enough. This mother and her two kids have been staying at the Humanitarian Relief Center at Floyd Bennett Field, but she says the city should be providing more assistance.
What I expect to have like a help from American people, I did not see that.
The Relief Center continues to be a point of contention for Republican council member Vicky Palladino, who says the city is already giving the migrants too much.
This is absolute insanity at its finest.
And most migrants we saw out here today were young men, but also we saw some families, including children and even some infants.
All I get out of that is we want more. We want more. We want more housing. We want more support. We want more from the American people. And you know what I'm thinking is that the American people actually paying for all of these bills, the American taxpayers, are getting fed up with this. And they are going, you know what? Get in line. We've been here way before you. We are working already, and we are funding your housing that you're complaining about. In New York City, one of the big things recently has been New York City is starting to kick people out of their shelter system. After 30 days, boom, you're gone. You got to figure it out, folks. I mean, what other country goes to such extent to bring in the illegals and just, give them everything 10 ways from Sunday? What other country in the world does that, right? I mean, it is. Like the congresswoman from New York, I think it was from Queens, she said, this is insanity. And that's what I think of when I see this. And I think what you are seeing in general is a shift, because you've got a population, American population, that now gets, all right, we're going to spend millions of dollars on the newcomers, the illegals. What about me? I've been here for a long time. I'm poor. What about me? Where's my benefit as an American citizen? Where's my $10,000 debit card? Where's my free housing? I got to pay rent. I think you're seeing that shift, and that is not going to go well, right? It's just not, because you've got this huge conflict where you've got these virtue signaling sanctuary cities that can't pay for all of this illegal stuff. They can't pay it. They have a budget deficit. Most major cities in the United States right now have a huge budget deficit. And that's because we came out of the pandemic. We shut down the economy. Commercial real estate is in the absolute tanks. We're in a recession. Nobody wants to say it, but we're in a recession right now. We're in a recession. People are pulling back. People are putting more money on credit cards. Interest rates are high. Inflation is high. And, these people saying, we need more money. And I think the average American citizen is going, we do too. We do too. And especially the folks on the lower socioeconomic end are getting just hammered by inflation. So when they see people that aren't even legal residents coming into the country with a big handout saying, we need more, mas. They're saying, you know what? Go work for it. Oh, you can't because you don't have a work permit? It's because you came into the country illegally, and that's not how this should go. And yet this is how, Joe Biden's America operates. Now, Customs and Border Protection, they'll bring you in and they'll give you an Uber ride to the Migrant Center, and then the Migrant Center, paid for by American taxpayers through an NGO, they'll give you a ride to the airport, and then we'll ship you off to Denver. We'll ship you off to New York City, where we're talking about. And then they get to New York City and they're like, we need more. We need more. Yeah. A group of several dozen migrants joined liberal Democrat politicians in New York City on Thursday to protest for even more government benefits for newcomers. Now, you got to strike that one out and put illegals, because they came into the country illegally. We're going to call them illegals. New York Immigration Coalition joined a group of elected Democrat officials on the steps of City Hall. Apparently, that didn't include the councilwoman from Queens, did it? No, I don't think she got the invite. To demand more money from the city budget to be dedicated to migrants, according to Caribbean Life. The activists demanded an array of higher spending, including an additional $109 million for free legal services for immigrants. What about the tax-paying citizens who can barely afford their rent, who already live in New York City? And now you've got a massive competition for entry-level housing, of which they compete as well, with the illegals. So for free legal services, these guys are getting legal services so that they can get through their immigration process. I mean, okay, all right. What about the folks that, need free legal services for other aspects of their life that aren't having that paid? How about that are tax-paying American citizens? What about that? Where is the equity there? There isn't any. Yeah, it's because it's this demand. We're illegals. We're illegals. $5 million for language services, $25 million in support for 2 city programs for illegal aliens, and an end to policies that evict migrants from shelters after a prescribed time. The budget is only so big, folks. And right now, that budget is ever shrinking because of the way tax revenue is coming in. And so you've got an issue where you've only got so much. How about Denver? We've seen Denver, the poster child for how not to run your city, right? They virtue signaled to the world, come to Denver. It's going to be great. It's going to be just we're going to support you. We're going to love you. We're going to give you everything. And then they realized, wow, these illegals are expensive. They are costing the city a lot of money. What are we going to do? Well, let's recommend, and I know I've stated this a million times, but for those of you new to the show, what they did is they recommended, hey, if you've got friends, family, or whomever here in the city of Denver, why don't you go live with them? Why don't you go live with them? And then they cut down their stay to 3 days tops, 24 hours at the low end. 1 to 3 days to cut their stay down to that. And then, more recently, they've been recommending to not only the illegals already in the city of Denver to go elsewhere. Hey, we'll get you to New York. They're going to give you more freebies. Hey, we'll get you to wherever you want to go. Chicago. We'll get you to Chicago. They're going to give you more stuff. We don't have the budget here. So now New York City is left kind of holding the bag. And Eric Adams, the mayor, he's basically said, we need some more federal money. And he's having to cut down on expenses. And one of them is the free extended stay in housing in New York City, because they flat don't have enough housing to go around for everybody. But they've already virtue signaled, hey, everybody. And by state law, they have to provide housing. So $25 million in support for city programs and cut down on the evictions, because right now one of the big storylines is New York City is evicting people from the shelters. I don't want to see anybody get evicted from anywhere, but this is what happens when you virtue signal, you bring the illegals in, and then you can't really work out what you do with them. That's what's happening here. Council member Alexa Aviles, for one, demanded New York Mayor Eric Adams increase spending for migrants and added, "Our priorities remain crystal clear: legal services, transfer schools, language justice, and more." How about until you're vetted and until you've gone through the typical immigration process? How about this? No. Yeah, what about that? Council member Shoshana Hanif, who has advocated for permanent free housing for migrants. Oh, that's a genius concept right there. What about permanent free cars? What about permanent free debit cards that get loaded up permanently each month on the 1st? What about that? How about permanent clothing expenditures for the illegals? How about let's give them a free hot dog stipend? A free hot dog stipend. I mean, I got to eat, right? Insisted that New York City should prioritize spending, quality education, good jobs, adequate health care, and dignified housing. All right, I would say yes, but first, prioritize those that are already here, right? You got a first come, first serve basis. We're skipping ahead in the line, and that's exactly what people are complaining about. And reflect our unwavering commitment to building a city that uplifts all New Yorkers, regardless of their immigration status, and no matter when they arrived. But let's prioritize the ones who are here illegally, and let's work on them first. I mean, that's literally what we're saying here. Let's disregard everybody else. Disregard everybody else. And that's what I think people are annoyed with. Like, no, that's a load of crap. No. How about that? No. And, oh, like Nancy Reagan said, just say no. All right. Hanif went on to claim that Biden's tidal wave of illegal immigrants are our new neighbors who she claims face roadblocks when accessing housing, employment, and education. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you come in illegally. You don't have a social security number. You don't have the right to work, and we haven't vetted you legally. How about that? How about that remain in Mexico policy? What about that? Yeah, what about that? Right now, you are seeing the numbers of those coming across the southern border are way down. Just in general, they are way, way down. And a lot of that has to do with Mexico is turning back 3 times as many illegals as they were just even a year ago. 3 times as many. Because the look for Biden to get reelected is not a good look if he just keeps this up, because all this pressure just continues, right? So you've got however many million illegals in the country already. Big cities like Chicago and New York are absolutely scrambling. And we see this in New York's, all right, you guys got 30 days. That's it. Instead of this never ending, list of benefits that they're handing out like candy at a Britney Spears concert. Here you go. Here's some candy. So to me, it's just wild entitlement. And you've got the folks on the left just cheering them on. You go, girl. You ask for all that stuff. And then you've got the citizens of America that are paying for it, the taxpayers, going, where's my freebies? Why am I working so hard when I'm not getting all this stuff? I'm not having my housing paid for, even for 30 days. Who doesn't want 30 days? Yeah, make a mortgage payment for me. Make a rent payment for me. Whatever it is. Give me housing for 30 days. Yeah, I mean, why not? Because they're getting it and they're not even legal citizens. So it's the priority that I think people are just like, what in the world are you doing? So migrants have been increasingly protesting that they aren't getting enough free aid, food, housing, and educational legal services in this country. In April, hundreds of African migrants protested outside New York City's seat of government to demand more money and freebies. You're stuck. You're stuck because the problem is yours now. New York City, like we say here, despite all this, New York City has already thrown $1.45 billion with the B into this problem and could be on course to spend an incredible $12 billion over the next 3 years. They're committed. People are already in their city. And then you've got all kinds of just crazy stuff going on. You've got illegals running around on the scooters. You've got criminal activity happening. You've got break-ins happening. You're seeing that more and more and more and more. You're seeing, it reflected in the topics in YouTube. And it's because this is the ongoing reality of when you virtue signal and you've got to pay the bills. The bills are coming due and we don't have the ability to pay for them. A lot of cities don't have the ability to pay for them. So what are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to cut things. You're going to cut the budget. You're going to cut services. You're going to cut this. You're going to cut that. Then yeah, it's going to impact people. That's just the way it goes. That's the way the ball bounces. And the hardcore reality is that the millions that have been brought in illegally should not be here. They should not be here from a legal basis. Right? So what are you going to do? New York, Chicago, I always use Denver. They're all in this really precarious position where they don't have enough money to run their own local government and support their own local residents. And they're on the hook for all this other stuff. So what you're seeing is you're seeing a shift of responsibility. You know what? I feel like you would be better off served at New York City. I feel like you would be more felt welcome in Chicago. I feel like you would be better off in Philadelphia. Maybe you should go to DC. Do you have any family members in DC that you could go, hang out with, room with? Because here in Denver, there is no more room at the inn. And that's the storyline that you're hearing repeatedly. New York City kicking immigrants out after 30 days. Denver kicking immigrants out after 24 hours. 72 hours if you've got a family with kids. I don't want to see anybody hit the streets, but this was inevitable. This was inevitable that this would happen. And so now you've got a bunch of folks on the far left going, ask for more, ask for that huge handout, ask for more. Because what can it hurt, right? You've already given how many billion? How many billion? Yeah. You got 2.4 billion in the upcoming budget. It's in utter insanity. And it didn't need to be that way. It didn't need to be that way. Because, in the 4 years prior to Biden, we didn't have all this nuttiness. We didn't have all this craziness, did we? No, we had record low immigration, illegal immigration into the United States. So make that vote count. 2024 elections come along. Yeah. We'll see how it goes, right? We'll see how it goes. Make sure that you're subscribed, hit that like button, share it with friends and family. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.